All right, folks, it is not January, June 29th, 2026, and a lot's going on in the world. And we'll be talking about that here on World Edition. Mediators set up a de escalation channels ahead of the U.S. Iran talk, according to what the sources are saying. New U.S. Iran clashes revealed the fragility of the truce and why it may work. That was reported by CNN. And Trump says U.S. and Iran to meet in Qatar after weekend attacks, and U.S. says it has agreed to stand down after an exchange of strikes with Iran. Putin's fuel shortage admission signals growing strain on Russia's energy infrastructure, so Putin admits fuel shortages after Ukrainian attack. Putin admits Ukrainian drone strikes are driving Russian fuel shortages, and Putin admits oil deficit amid Ukrainian strikes on refineries. Iran attacks Bahrain and Kuwait following U.S. strikes, and there was even a threat on yesterday to halt the talks. But U.S. and Iran carry out strikes, and apparently that is testing that fragile ceasefire and all along those lines. And Trump has nominated a new head of ICE, so that is something that is in the news as well. Pakistani strikes kill scores in Afghanistan. Pakistani airstrikes kill 36 civilians in Afghanistan and wound 160, according to what officials are saying, and all along those lines. So, Pakistani forces kill 29 militants in the border operations. Kabul says dozens of civilians are dead. France reports 1,000 excess deaths during the European heat wave. So France recorded 1,000 excess deaths during the heat wave, according to what officials have said. Europe's record heat has overwhelmed Paris mortuaries and left families in distress. Italy and the Balkans have been hit by the heat wave as well, as wildfire fears rise. Europe sizzles under heat wave as records are smashed in Switzerland, Denmark, and Germany. And NPR is asking, could neo-Nazi youth or active clubs played a role in the Belfast riots? So that's something that folks are talking about as well. And Andy Burnham says he'll deliver a circuit breaker to transform the UK economy if he becomes leader. New number 10 North Plan will rebalance power in Britain, Burnham promises. So UK's Prime Minister in waiting vows to rip up politics as usual. Britain's case for meaningful de-evolution is overwhelming. And Iran said $6 billion in frozen assets in Qatar will be released. Iran says $6 billion in assets to be released. Fact-checking Trump's claims on birthright citizenships is something AP News was talking about as well. But the Iran president says $6 billion in frozen assets in Qatar to be released as U.S. talks are challenged. And Pekishkin says Iran will get frozen assets from lifted sanctions. Australia will be doubling the fines for social media age ban breaches. So it looks like folks that are having their kids still on social media could be facing some tough times. So Australia is doubling the max fines for social media ban violations. Australia says it will toughen its social media bans for children. So Australia to double penalties for platforms in breach of social media contract. South Africa bracing for a June 30th anti-immigrant marches, so that'll be taking place on tomorrow. NPR says they can kill you. African migrants fear a surge in xenophobic violence in South Africa. Leave or return in a coffin, the threat driving migrants out of South Africa. So some folks are asking, including those at Reuters, what is behind South Africa's anti-immigrant protests? Australia and Vanuatu signed a national agreement in Canberra. So Australia and Vanuatu signed a deal to block foreign military bases. So they've signed this delayed security deal and this is seen as a way to curb China. A long Australian Vanuatu Pact blocks China from building a military base. So it looks like they're critical infrastructure to remain free from militarization under the Nakamal Pact. And China targets more Japanese companies with export controls. China is widening its Japan export curbs, targeting drone makers, nuclear firms, and defense institutes. China blacklists more Japan entities as the Takeshi feud deepens. China restricts exports to Mitsubishi, Hitachi, and Komatsu. So it looks like these are all companies that are being impacted by that particular that particular ban and all along those lines. Simon Peter Carmen allegedly killed a teen in Thailand. Australian man arrested after Thai teen girl found dead in a suitcase. So Reuters is saying how a Thai teen's night at a Pattaya beach ended in death. So Australian charged with the murder of the Thai teen found in a suitcase. And Putin expects U.S. negotiators in Moscow fuel rationing in Siberia as the crisis bites. So Putin says Russia will press on despite the fuel shortage. And Putin claims Kyiv proposed limiting war to 4 oblasts. So looks like there's still some conversations going on in that area as well. Skydiving plane crashes near Nancy, France, killing 11 people. So skydiving plane crashes in France, killing all 11 people aboard. So French investigators probed the fatal skydiving plane crash that killed the pilot and the 10 parachutists. And the Pope invites new archbishop to be good shepherds on the Feast of St. Peter's and Paul. So he's inviting those new archbishops to be good shepherds in this particular case. So Peter and Paul won't leave us alone is what the Indian Catholic Matters is reporting. So definitely a lot's going on, and the Pope is still continuing his conversations with leaders, including leaders in his church. IDF dismantles Hezbollah terror tunnel complex near Israeli border. And like I said, there's that serious heat wave going on in Europe, and I'm sure that Rick, who I'm going to bring in shortly, his daughter has been talking about that since that's where she's at and everything like that. And also, I know that Rick keeps up with Hollywood news and news out of the media world, and apparently Comcast is to spin off NBC Universal and Sky into separate companies. So Comcast says it will spin off NBC Universal and is cutting NBC Universal loose. It may not stay that way forever. The Supreme Court lets a $5 million sex abuse verdict against Trump stand. So the Supreme Court rejects Trump bid to appeal E. Jean Carroll's $5 million verdict. So the Supreme Court has rejected Trump's effort to overturn E. Jean Carroll's sexual assault and defamation verdict. And after 40 years in Congress, Nancy Pelosi to help create an institute to train leaders. So Nancy Pelosi brings her legendary congressional know-how to a new Berkeley Institute with $35 million in funding. So she's to establish the new Democracy Institute at UC Berkeley. And Donald Trump still got stuff going on with the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. So Trump says the reflecting pool in full use and confirms the DC golf course work. A company trying to clean reflecting pool is thrust into a political storm and hires a crisis communications firm. Now it's fireworks and a fence keeping tourists from the reflecting pool. And Capitol Agenda, red, white, and GOP hardliner blues. This week on the Hill, House aims to move priorities after conservative SAVE Act, American Act rebellion. House Republicans are looking to get their agenda on track after a chaotic week. And Donald Trump hijacked America's 250 and turned it into a theater of the absurd, is what The Guardian is saying. Americans split from monarchy 250 years ago. Trump presidency is testing how far it's come, according to the AP News. And I do know that there was a event at the Kennedy Center. I think it featured Bill Maher and Jay Leno and a number of others, including some that cracked jokes on the president and all along those lines. But I'm going to see what Rick's got to say about this Kennedy event and everything like that. I think they were honoring Bill Maher because I think he got the Mark Twain Award or something along those lines. But I know that there were some jokes that were put out there that were not favorable to the president and all along those lines.
Yeah, I don't know about the event. I haven't. What I've been following a little bit is the we're both old enough to remember the bicentennial in
Yes.
1976. And, America was pretty excited about it. America
Right.
seems to be less excited about the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, at least partially because Trump made it about himself and nobody showed up at his All American State Fair.
And I think that they did some crazy things at the All American State Fair. I think the North Carolina exhibit, which North Carolina actually boycotted, but I guess they made a North Carolina exhibit, and it featured a Confederate flag, which did not go over that well with North Carolina and everything like that. So yeah, there've been even some of the states that were not there. I think that some of Trump's people tried to put images of those states, even if they had boycotted.
Either I think it was going to cost between $100,000 and $1 million for each state to have a little booth or whatever at the state fair.
Right.
And either 11 or 13 states declined to show up there. And so did most Americans. The attendance, Trump claimed 45,000 people in attendance. Pictures of the event make it look more like I don't know, 1,000, a couple thousand. It was held on a grassy expanse that was almost completely empty of people.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's just crazy and everything like
He
that.
put up a triumphal arch that was meant to look like the one he wants to put up for real in Washington, but this one was made of I don't know, fabric stapled to a frame, and it started crumbling, and they had to put up traffic cones to stop people from getting near it because it had become dangerous because it wasn't constructed well. The whole thing was not great.
Yeah, and
Now, but the question is, will any of this affect Trump's standing with his base, with his approval?
well, I mean, I think that they are like blind to whatever he's doing, and they won't impact them. There are a couple that may break off, like the Marjorie Taylor Greens and a couple of others, but the base seems to be enamored by Trump and everything like that. As was coming up to the Bill Maher things, it says he received the Mark Twain Prize at the Kennedy Center. I also heard that the red carpet and some of the things that were designed, because they're also taking down the sign, because at one point it was going to be the Kennedy Trump Center there, but it's still now just going to be the Kennedy Center. So they did say that Trump, the Independent said, stole the spotlight at Bill Maher's Mark Twain Prize ceremony, but he was also humiliated because there were some people that made some jokes about Epstein. The one person said that he got caught in sex traffic as he was not in attendance.
But none of this matters in terms of Trump support, because most of Trump's supporters never hear about some of the more ridiculous things that Trump has done. So the Supreme Court declined to review the verdict against Trump, holding him liable for, they call it digital rape. What happened was, in the testimony that Jean Carroll gave, she said that Trump pushed her face first into the wall of a dressing room at, I want to say Lord and Taylor, but that may not be, at a big New York department store. Back when department stores were still doing business, and this was in the 90s. And with one hand, he pushed. He smashed her face into the wall, and with the other hand, or with something, he penetrated her. And because her face was smashed into the wall, she couldn't tell whether it was his penis or his fingers. And the jury or the court found him liable for digital rape, that he used his fingers. And this is consistent with 28 women have accused Trump of sexual harassment or assault. This is consistent with his own statements to Access Hollywood, to Billy Bush, and to other women's stories, that he will use his fingers to grope women. And two separate juries found her credible beyond a reasonable doubt. And
Well, we've got this going on and everything like that, Rick. And yeah, I'm hearing what you're saying. There are, and I'm not saying they don't have their own problems, but there are leaders of other countries that are doing things to raise awareness and do positive things. Because I was seeing a story that was on CBS where Kate, Princess of Wales, hiked up three mountains. I can't see President Trump hiking up three mountains in 24 hours to raise awareness for cancer. So she shared her emotional cancer message after climbing UK's three highest mountains in 24 hours. So she's trying to bring awareness to a major
Who did
issue.
this?
Kate Middleton, the Princess
Okay.
of Wales.
All right. Well, I mean, okay.
So like I said, there's got people doing positive things with their leadership, but not in our area and everything like that. I did have a question about entertainment before I get to that, and we'll get to some other news stories as well. But the BET Awards, I meant to watch them, but I did not. Were on yesterday, and apparently Tiana Taylor wore a Stefan Roland Haute Couture and Tom Ford to the 2026 BET Award. Lauryn Hill was honored. Janet Jackson stuns Tiana Taylor, and Drewski makes history at the BET Awards. And I knew Drewski was the one hosting and everything like that. So it looks like Janet Jackson presented Tiana Taylor with the Icon of the Year award at the 2026 BET Awards. I will wear this title loud and proud, is what that particular person said, and everything like that. So it looks like the BET Awards were a success. A lot of people in lavish outfits and all in that line. So I have to go back and see who all the winners were and everything like that. But there's a movie coming out, and it's getting some interesting reviews. Some saying that it's not that great. Some saying it's pretty decent and everything like that. But what is your take as one in Hollywood about Supergirl? Because it did open.
So, all right. So the reviewers gave it on Rotten Tomatoes gave it 57%. That is only 4 out of every 7 reviewers gave it a positive review. However, fans gave it a 77% like. I'm seeing it in a week or two because if you belong to the TV Academy, that you get to see movies for free, which is nice. Wife and I saw Disclosure Day over the weekend, and that kind of had the opposite thing where reviewers gave it 80%, but viewers only gave it 70%. Okay. I thought it was pretty good, but it was long, and for his entire career, Spielberg has been obsessed with a particular subject, and I won't spoil it for people, but I mostly liked it. Emily Blunt, I like anything that she is in. She was really good. She plays a weather girl. I'm not spoiling, somebody who does the weather on a local news station. And she, things happen to her. And she's awesome in this. And they're talking, but Supergirl, I'm looking forward to it. It's directed and written by James Gunn, who did the Suicide Squad, the good one. There were 2 Suicide Squad movies. He did the good one. He did the recent Superman movie. He's head of the superhero movies he's head of the DC superhero universe. He's the guy who decides which DC movies are going to be made. Superhero properties are going to be made and what the schedule is. You've got 2 competing superhero worlds. You got DC and then you have Marvel, and Gunn is the head of DC.
Well, and speaking of that, and I heard about this on Facebook, and I still am not quite understanding it. We all have bodily functions, and maybe you can explain it to me because I still don't get it. But apparently Noah Kahan is begging his fans to stop pooping in their pants during his concerts. I guess he's asking them to go to the restroom if they got to go. So he's asking the fans not to poop on the floor at concerts, and he's reacting to feces found at fan seat in Philadelphia. So I guess he's begging his fans.
I'm not aware of the pooping. I'm not aware of it.
I just heard about this on Facebook earlier today. So apparently he's asking them, maybe you like the music, but you can still go take to the restroom and everything like that. If you got to go, don't be sitting there just enjoying my music so much that you're going to poop in the chairs or whatever they're doing. I don't think it's part of their songs or anything along those lines. But yeah, that was just crazy. But he was begging that. And we did have a country music legend that apparently is finally going to retire and everything like that. So Alan Jackson has had his triumphant finale concert, and apparently Taylor Swift made a surprise appearance, nodding to her own country music roots, just days before her rumored wedding, because the wedding is supposed to be coming up around the 4th of
So,
July.
so the rumors are that she rented Madison Square Garden
Right.
for the wedding, but this could also be a juke that this was it may be a fake out. Nobody knows.
Could be fake out. We'll find out. But Alan Jackson, in his emotional farewell concert, said, "Anyone has lived the American dream, it's me," because I do think that he came from poor beginnings and all along those lines. Have you been following at all? Because I did watch some, and we have one Sweet 16 team in. There'll be more playing today. I know Brazil's going against Japan, and Brazil is the heavy favorite, but I was reading an article where they said Japan will pull off the upset. But the first team to make it into the Sweet 16 is Canada, because Canada beat South Africa yesterday afternoon. And
I watched a little of it. I bet $1 on Polymarket, and then I got out before I lost my $1. So I bet $1 and I cashed out at 97 cents. So I lost 3 pennies betting on that game.
You lost a whopping 3 pennies.
Yes. If I'd held on, if I didn't chicken out, I could have won 58 cents, but I'll probably be okay either way.
Either way, maybe you can bet on Brazil against Japan, and I think there's 2 other games that are today. U.S. won't get to play till Wednesday when they will play against Bosnia. But yeah, it's 3 games I think today, and then there's several other games as we try to go from the round of 32 down to the Sweet 16 in the World Cup. So this will be
twice as many teams made it to the knockout round as ever before, because in previous World Cups, 32 countries were invited, 16 teams made it to the knockout rounds. This time around, they invited 48 and 32 made it in. So it's like March Madness, which has grown from 16 teams to 32 to now I think it's currently 68 going to 72 teams.
I heard it might even be going to more than that. It might be going up to like 76 or 80. But yeah, it keeps rising. And then we're having some meetings in the NCAA about rising the amount of teams that can get into it. I mean, eventually it might be every team that's in it, which I think is kind of defeats the purpose and everything like that. I did have a question, because one of the things that goes on, it was another news story that came out of your area. And I'm always sad when I hear about these animals that are abused, but apparently in California, at least 117 dead dogs were found in a search at a California animal rescue agency that had been accused of abuse. So they're saying there was a horrific scene at this California no-kill shelter. Many of them had gunshot wounds. So my guess is that maybe they were sick and whatever, but they decided.
So people get overwhelmed, like they think they don't want California animal shelters. A lot of them still euthanize excess dogs.
Right.
And then private citizens hate this, the dog, holocausts, and they start taking it on themselves. They get overwhelmed. Sometimes they're older people who are kind of half lunatics, especially in the case of cats.
Right.
If you're around a lot of cats for a long time, you can get toxoplasmosis, which can lead to schizophrenia, which can lead to you becoming a crazy cat lady. In any case, there are cases of people, well-meaning people, who just get overwhelmed and end up keeping hundreds of animals in horrible conditions. And I'm sure it's another case of this where somebody had good intentions and it got away from them, and then they ended up just shooting some of these poor dogs.
Shoot some of these poor dogs. Trump is at it again. We know he got the reflection pool. We know he's got what he tried to do with the Kennedy Center. We know that he is an avid, even though I don't know how good he is, even though I had a long time ago when he was living in Uncle that was pretty good, but I guess Trump's a good golfer. I don't play golf. I've played every blue
Trump's an okay. I mean, he's been playing his whole life, so he's an adequate golfer, maybe good at times, but also he's an unstoppable cheater. An entire book has been written about his cheating by sports writer Rick Riley. He He does a lot of so. Yeah, he's both a decent golfer and he'll take advantage. He'll claim the ball landed closer to the hole than it actually did. I don't know, but it's worth it to play golf with Trump, even if he's going to cheat. If you're looking for a government contract, if you're looking, people play golf with Trump to get close to the president and fulfill often some business agenda. The New York Times is reporting on a $1.6 billion tungsten mining deal in Kazakhstan, where both Howard Lutnick's sons and Trump's sons are part of the company that will be getting paid billions of dollars to mine tungsten. And the kids of Lutnick, a member of Trump's cabinet, and Trump's own kids will be making potentially tens and hundreds of millions of dollars from tungsten mining. You're muted now. Mark, you're muted. Jacoby's muted. I don't know what's happening.
What's up?
Yeah, Mark is muted. He was saying something, but yeah, the Trump family is definitely completely corrupt. They're definitely they've never done these businesses or had these businesses before he became president. They were never a part of these businesses before he became president. That's why their net wealth has jumped billions of dollars. So yeah, they're just ripping people off, and people keep following in on the grift and agreeing with it. Even worse, I mean, we got more wars breaking out in the Middle East because Pakistan, I just read, carried out strikes against militants in Afghanistan. So we got more wars breaking out in the Middle East, courtesy of this administration. We're stuck now with a incompetent man who, as you point out, loves to play golf because he's played golf his whole life. Loves to play golf. Was on the golf course with blueprints of all this other stuff while the MOU is falling apart and wars breaking out in the Middle East. We're stuck now.
Yeah, so the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, which is the plan to have a peace plan. It's like we're going to discuss more stuff. And in the meantime, we're going to have a ceasefire, but the ceasefire keeps getting violated by both sides. But in terms of Trump support is at a 2-month high of his approval by the American people, because a big chunk of the American people don't get told a whole lot about the stuff that goes wrong for Trump. That Biden took a bigger hit. Biden pulled us out of Afghanistan about 1/3 of the way into his presidency, and Biden's approval fell 10 points and never recovered. Trump's approval has fallen, maybe 1 or 2 points and is recovering. So Biden took a bigger hit for pulling us out of Afghanistan chaotically than Trump has taken for starting a war and quickly losing it.
Well, I don't know if Trump's approval is recovering at all.
I do, because I look at it because I'm
looking at The Economist right now. Right now, his net approval rating is at -22.
Yeah, but that's up. It's been hanging like week to week. If you look at The Economist, it was on May 19th. It was like minus 21, then it went to minus 26, 27, 25. Now it's back up to minus 22. So it's actually gone up. And then it bounced up on June 14th to minus 17. So
I'm not seeing what you're seeing.
I know.
What I'm
So
looking
the
at,
deal is, if you look at The Economist, he's a negative 22, but that's the average of all his little week. There's a line that connects all the blips.
so what I'm looking at, let me show you what I'm looking at. Mark is back. Hopefully he can share it.
Yes.
But I don't see this recovery you're talking about.
So no, if you look, they poll his approval every week.
Yeah.
And so
And what I'm seeing,
that's it. So yeah,
that's 2021.
That's what I'm looking at. Look at
Is
the
that what I'm looking
dots. So if I don't know if you can expand it, but if you look at the dots,
No, that's what I'm looking at right here.
right. So if you can expand that, the dots are low, a little higher, then really low. Then you've got a dot that recovers way the hell up into the teens, and then goes back down to 22. But
New order.
Yeah, but what I'm seeing though,
Mark.
Rick, is yes, we've got this dot that's way up here.
right,
That's an outlier. But then you have your average that's sitting at negative 22, which he's been sitting at. He's been dropping consistently the whole way.
yeah. But if you look at that curve, it goes down. It's a smiley face right at the end there. It drops down and then it starts curving back up.
If you look at the number, if it says it right here, Trump negative 22, even on June 22nd, if you go back at the bottom of the curve, negative 22 on May 30th.
Yeah, but the deal is that he hasn't. So it's been for the past month, he's been steady. You compare to what happened with Biden. Biden fell off a table.
Yeah, Biden right now is listed as the lowest, but why are we comparing him to Biden when we're showing that Trump
I'm
is?
just making the point that they each Biden pulled us out of Afghanistan. His approval took a major hit. He never recovered from. Trump has only taken a little baby like hit for losing the Iran war.
Yeah, war that's still going on and everything like that.
But I mean,
Glad that we've got Kim with us and everything. And yeah, we was having some technical issues. Maybe Trump didn't like me talking about his golf course and everything like that. Because that's what I was going to say is that his latest project is the East Potomac. He's doing some renovations on his golf course. So he's not just satisfied with the reflecting pool. He wants to build, maybe he's tired of going to Mar-a-Lago and he wants to build a golf course there in DC. So he's doing some major renovations to that area as well. So it looks like Kim, he's just finding new things that he can build in DC that his contractors can get money for and everything like that. So what's your take on that? Because that was the other article that I was getting ready to bring up before the minor technical glitches and everything like that. But it does look like he's doing some major renovations of the East Potomac golf course.
He's
I
going to
think
take
he's
it over.
probably getting a kickback, but go ahead.
he's gonna-
I got a lot of noise.
He's going to take it over, and people are speculating he's going to hang the Trump name on it. But
yeah, I
it-
mean that's his
too
plan.
bad.
He's doing it. He
That's
is
it,
a
right.
failed president, so he's looking for other things to distract people with. He hasn't
That's
released the
love.
Epstein files. He hasn't. He's created a never-ending war. Inflation's up, and again, Rick, I still don't. I mean, the polling, I still don't see that. I mean, he's at
no.
negative
It actually compares Biden to Trump. So if you look at Biden,
I mean, I saw the dip and everything.
but
with Biden
that chart you put up shows Biden going from -7 to -16 after pulling us out of Afghanistan, a 9-point dip. Trump takes a 5-point dip from before the war, from -17 to -22. So Biden took almost twice the hit for Afghanistan that Trump has taken for getting us into.
Everybody saw that as a failure, saw the withdrawal and saw the images and so on and so forth.
Right.
But the thing with Trump is that he's a steady failure. If you look at his disapproval is, where's that?
Yeah, it's higher. It's roughly.
Well,
it
his
is.
disapproval right now, or his net approval is lower at -22, because his actual approval rating again, or his approval rating kept dropping the whole way through.
Right.
So again, that net approval disapproval. Right now he's at -22. He's way underwater, even more so than when Biden pulled everybody out of Afghanistan, which was at 17 at the lowest, as you pointed out, dropped to -16. Right now, Trump is still at -22 because the disapproval rating for him keeps going higher, and that net approval is not moving.
I thought Senator Tom Tillis was going to have a coronary heart attack over the reflection pool and all the arrests that Trump is making for people that they are saying are vandalizing the pool. Senator Tom Tillis says this is ridiculous. We don't need to be arresting people for this kind of stuff because they're not vandalizing a pool that isn't already damaged. But he went ballistic. I don't know if you guys watched it, but his face turned red. He was So I think, and he's a Republican Party. He was one of Trump's biggest supporters.
So he's pissed at what Trump is saying about this?
He's pissed at what Trump is doing. And they have been at each other's throats since November. And Senator Tillis came home from whatever meeting they had, and he quit. He said, I'm done. And then he said, I will finish out my term, but I'm not running again. And so I don't know what happened in that trip, but he literally came back and said, I'm done. So, but I think, unfortunately, MAGA's down, mad at him, not over being a pedophile and redacting all the records and wasting, 14 plus million on a pool and 224 million on vanity ads for Kristi Noem and another 100 million to pimp out her plane for Epstein type plane, but they're mad over the reflection pool. So they're just angry over that.
So there's an index that indicates trouble for the party in charge, which is how many people quit Congress and decide not to return or who lose primaries. This year is setting an all-time record. 76 members of the House and Senate are not coming back. The previous record was 72. This tends to indicate that the party in charge, which is the Republicans, will not maintain control. But Trump is doing whatever he can to hold that off.
And they're adjusting the way we're allowed to vote, and they're going to be putting
ICE. General says that he will not deliver mail-in ballots in states that do not give voter records to the federal government. Now, that's unconstitutional. The states are supposed to be in charge of their own elections, so this will probably get shot down. But Trump is doing whatever he can to fight off what's probably going to be a bad result.
Yeah, to that point, Rick.
He's violated the Constitution so many times and nobody's held their toes to the fire. It takes months and months and months to get whatever he did fixed. So, his thing is break the law and ask for forgiveness later or fight it. And he's going to continue doing that. And he's pushing to do away with Amendment 17 right now, which I want to read a little bit more on why they want to do that. But Amendment 17, they're pushing to abolish. And that's where we elect the senators. So, in the beginning, the senators were appointed. Now they want to, and then I forget what year we moved to have it elected. I think it was in early 1900s. I forget. But then, so we started electing.
The 17th Amendment was ratified in 1913. Before 1913, senators were chosen by state legislatures.
Right. So they were appointed more so than elected by the people. So now they're trying to push it back to having them because they say that they're spending too much time campaigning. That's their excuse. They're spending too much time campaigning and not doing their job. But they shut down about every 3 months. They don't do their job. They really don't. They don't do their job because they're campaigning. They don't do their job because they don't want to. They want to drag things out. And, you can't do
Trump
that.
cannot do anything about this. It's an amendment to the Constitution. To change it, you need to get 3/4 of the states that's 38 states to ratify an amendment repealing the 17th Amendment. That takes years, and we haven't been able to do that.
We haven't been able to do that since they tried it with the ERA, and that did not ever got ratified and everything like that. But to your point and everything, Kim, apparently the SAVE Act, which is the voting things that he's trying to shove down people's throat, he's holding the housing affordability bill hostage because he's saying that he won't sign that unless he gets what he wants from the voters and everything, like from the voting bill. So he's basically there's supposed to be something similar to what Mamdani is doing in terms of housing affordability, not maybe so much a rent freeze, but definitely making things more affordable. But he will not sign that unless there is signatures around his SAVE Act and everything like that.
Can I point something out real quick just for the fun of it? Because I like to point out something for fun. Last Thursday, when Mark, you brought up this bill and you asked everyone if it would be signed. If you go back to the videotape, what did I say that day? He won't sign it.
You said he won't sign it, right?
What did he do? He didn't sign it. Right. So we know as I've stated multiple times, this man doesn't care about people.
So you know how he talks about we need to pump more back in the United States. We need to get the oil rigs and gas being pumped in the United States. Well, when they tried to get him to sign a bill to do that, he didn't sign. He said he did, but he didn't. What he did is he put a condition on that. He said, I'll sign this when you start buying all of the materials and steel that you use to pump the gas from the United States, basically from his companies. But he didn't sign the bill to pump more gas. He didn't. He didn't.
Not signing. Hold on. Let's talk about what happens. If he doesn't sign the bill, it still becomes law after 10 days. So we can say, I'm not signing the bill. All that does is delay the bill by 11 days because Sundays don't count. The bill will become law even without his signature, as long as he doesn't veto it.
He can veto. He can do that. He would. He would.
So will it become law, or will he get Mike Johnson to pull the bill?
How can they pull the bill after it's already passed?
Mike Johnson's too busy.
We've asked, the reason I say that, we've asked, how can he or will he for how many years now? And the thing is, how many years has he pulled some 1790s law or 1812 law? All these things that he tries to pull up in the past. We act like this is something new and that he cannot do. The man is actually utilizing his Project 2025 people who are going through different legal situations to make things official. So again, will he get Mike Johnson to pull the bill is the question. Because they will find something.
He will, because Mike is his pet. And Mike has got a really dark, very dark past. You just have to go dig and look. But if you want a quick reference to his dark and ways, and he keeps saying, I'm here to protect the Republicans and I'm going to protect them. He also protects the pedophiles. Google Judge Pressler and the Southern Baptist Convention. how they were accused of raping little boys, and they settled out so that they could protect the reputation of the Baptist Church and protect the reputation of Judge Pressler. Not long following that situation, Mike Johnson, knowing Pressler's reputation of raping little boys, they went and opened up a private Christian boarding school for little boys in 2010, and then 2 years later, they had to shut that school down under fraud, is what they said, and that they never taught classes. Of course not. So he has a very dark past of association with pedophiles, but protecting them. He was on the ethics committee for the church, and everything he did was to protect them from all their sins being publicized, to protect everything that was going on for Judge Pressler, who was a known pedophile. And even after they closed down the school, Mike Johnson went to work in the Senate. And Pressler actually kept getting accused and sued for raping boys. And I think he just eventually died with those lawsuits on his head. But Mike has got a very dark past. And I think if you keep digging, you're going to find, and he's always, and everybody, a lot of people do this, but he's always incorporating a nonprofit of some kind. And that was Epstein's business standard policy, is everyone that did business in the sex trafficking industry with him opened up a nonprofit or a charity, especially under a religious factor, because that covered up what they were doing, and it was also tax-free. So if I were the IRS, I would go after the Epstein files just for the tax.
The IRS is broken.
I know they are. They work for Trump. They're going to go after anybody that Trump tells them to, and it's not going to be the people in the.
So while you were talking, I looked up. So there's only two ways for one way that Trump. After you get through all the stuff, the Mike Johnson and Congress have said they're not that. The only way to stop the bill from becoming law, according to AI, is for Trump to veto it, which I don't think even Trump at this point is crazy enough to veto a bill that was passed 358 to 32 in the House, 85 to 5 in the Senate. So if Trump does nothing, which he will, it will become law at midnight on July 7th.
That makes sense and everything like that. Hey,
on July what? 27th?
7th.
Oh, 7th. That's interesting, because that what they're pushing to make a law right now with the SEC is allowing the big corporations to only have to report twice a year instead of 4 times a year, and that's on July 6th. Interesting.
Oh, wow. The day after and everything like that. Just really quick.
So make sure you voice your opinion to your senators before July 6th, because it will become law on July 6th.
So what you're saying is that Trump is pushing a law change that corporations only have to do financial accountability once every 6 months instead of once every 3 months. And a company in trouble can have a lot of terrible stuff go on in 6 months. And
it's documented in history. This is why they push the accountability to every 3 months, is so that CEOs and owners couldn't, take all the money and run off with it like they were doing and causing the companies to crash. And this happened for a very long time. And there was only one reason to make this account. And I want to tell you what, it's not fun when you're a big company and you have to report, every 3 months. It's not. But it's a due diligence that I felt like was an honor to do, because one, I'm an honest person and I want to make sure that we give everything that we have and know of. If there's a mistake, it gets caught in 3 months, not 6 months. So But the people who don't want it are crooked, just as crooked as you can get. So look for the people who vote for the law, and it will become law on July 6th. So make sure you voice your opinion to the Senate about it, because they are pushing to do this.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
there's never been a worse time to pass this bill, because I asked AI, U.S. business failures and bankruptcies are climbing, driven by high interest rates, tight credit, rising operational costs. So a lot of companies, large and small, are in trouble, and giving them 6 months to pull shenanigans instead of 3 months is terrible for stockholders.
Well, and we've got documented history to show that this is dangerous. We got documented history to show that this should not happen, that we need accountability. In fact, in this day and time, with all the bankruptcies being filed, I don't see why we're not doing it every month right now. You know, if you're doing your books due diligently, sending a report, having AI generate that report from your data should be fairly uncomplicated. And the problem is the accountability offices having to receive those reports. But if you make it a generic form and make it so they can scan the data quickly. But yeah, this is an easy way for corporations to steal all the money and cause the companies to crash and to hide a lot of things.
Dimension of this. My wife and I we go out to dinner like once a week. We tried to go out to dinner last night at a place that we like, out of business. 2 other places on the same block, 2 other restaurants went out. They all went out in the past month.
Right.
Restaurants, the U.S. restaurant sector is in trouble due to inflation, heavy debt burdens, because it costs a lot to open a restaurant, and declining foot traffic. Street crime is down 50% since the 90s, because people on the street are down since the 90s, because everybody stays home and they do their business online, and that kills restaurants.
No, it definitely kills restaurants, but you say street crime is down, and that's actually interesting you bring that up, because I know that we have 2 shows on Sunday. Kay Pasa actually had a voting rights activist, but actually Where's the Love, our Bully show, was a rerun, because they're in Kansas City, which is one of the World Cup cities, in addition to some in California and Miami and a number of other places as well. But in talking to the host of that show, she was telling me, and then I read the article, that there has been a lot of incidences of crime uptick in Kansas City, partially because there are more targets, because the people are coming from the World Cup. I think there was a incident with a Lyft driver and a couple of other things that took place. So there are concerns about security and even gun violence these days. And definitely they've been a city that was known for having that kind of reputation, Kansas City, and all along those lines. So are you saying that in your looking that you're seeing, and maybe that's because it's a bigger audience, because there's a whole lot of people there for the World Cup, just like there are a whole lot of people in Miami. But are you saying that in what you're seeing, that gun violence is down in the last couple of years, or that it's around steady or up?
Since the early 90s, since the first George Bush administration and Bill Clinton's first administration, since that was crime peaked around 1990 in the U.S., it's down by, violent crime is down by half. And part of that is because there's less opportunity. So I looked up World Cup crime, and most of the World Cup crime is cyber crime and fraud, ticket frauds and other stuff, human trafficking. So apparently in some of these big cities that have World Cup crowds, there's in Florida and Massachusetts, people are getting arrested for offering minors up for sex with people there for the World Cup.
Houston, Texas is a really big area for the child sex trade. One, because of all the oil companies that operate out of there. So if there's any of the World Cup going on in that vicinity, it will be very high.
I mean, so I'm sure there's lots of adult sex trade going on around the World Cup, but the authorities are more interested in underage people being caught up in this. So obviously, they're going to be going after the people trafficking kids more than the people trafficking adults.
Well, because it's a crime that kind of gets a lot of attention, and they get a lot of good credit for stopping that. Just to let people know, if you want to submit to the SEC that you're not happy with them changing the quarterly reporting to semi-annual reporting, you can go to www.sec.gov/rules-regulations/05/S7-2026-15. So just, or you can Google SEC rules biannual laws, and it should take you there as well. But make sure you can click on submitting your opinion on what you feel about it. I think that this is going to be very important for people to tell them we don't need this. We need to have quarterly reporting.
Yeah, that makes sense and everything like that. Just really quickly, I know we only got about 3 minutes to go, and then we've got to get to Economics Monday. I think that's where Nick was disappearing to and everything like that. But I think it was President Obama that recently came out and said that he thinks that there will be a woman president in his lifetime. I know that there's some people that are thinking that Kamala may run, maybe even his wife Michelle will run. But I was just wondering, for my fellow panelists, do you think that there will be a woman
Michelle
president?
Obama hates politics. She does not.
But do you think there will be a woman president in your lifetime? That was the actual question.
You have to look at individual politicians. Is Harris still a viable candidate? And she came within, she only lost the popular vote by less than 1.5%. Trump got 49 point something. Harris got 48 point something. So she didn't, but you can't just win the popular vote. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by millions.
I know, and she still lost.
So if you look at the slate of politicians, is there a woman who can rise to the top in 2028? You can't. I mean, Obama, he's a young-ish guy. He's 60. I feel like he's 65, so he could live for another 25 years.
Yeah, so I mean, it could be. Some people are speculating in Kamala. Some people are speculating AOC. Some people are speculating on the other side, Nikki Haley. Because there are people on both the Republican and the Democratic side that are women that could run, and who knows if they'll be elected. So
I think Nikki Haley's pretty besmirched with her long on-off relationship with Trump. AOC, we have to see AOC is besmirched by being too green, too liberal. We'll see how that plays in the midterms, whether, because the Republicans are going crazy, accusing the Democrats of being socialists, which is largely bullshit. But we'll see if that accusation keeps people from voting for Democrats in 4.5 months.
Well, I mean, do you want the government spending money on their own personal vanity ads, like $224 million to fake companies and redoing a reflection pool and destroying the ballroom with promises of do you want the Republicans and the communists to, build a glamorous royal life for them with your money? Or do you want your money spent on the people and on the communities in order to build the communities and the country, and so everybody is has equal opportunity, 2 options for health, safety, and work? I mean, it's a choice. You know, Republicans push to put all the money back into the wealthy, and the Democrats do. They, you know, it looks like they're wasting money, but they put all of their money into, you know, a good, you know, like Social Security. They're going to make sure that people are cared for, and that's the difference.
So just to point out, the people will, I think what the Republican Party has done they have overused the socialist term because they've never defined it. They made it a nebulous term. Nobody knows what it is. It's just, hey, it's a boogeyman. And the youth who are voting a lot for these Democrat socialists, which are different from the actual socialists, they don't care about the word. They really don't. And so it will not deter people hearing that term anymore.
No.
That's why Trump is going out here saying every buzzword possible, and that is what has honestly worked against the Republican Party. Is Trump now going, well, they're socialists, communists, baby eaters. They want boys playing and girls. He's going through every buzzword possible, and that's really turning people off. As a sad analogy, a really sad analogy, is that you know, we're numb to gun violence. It doesn't shock us anymore. It's supposed to. But what Trump is under the belief of is hearing all this shocking words, and that's why everything he says is the same buzzwords, and people are tired of hearing it. So the Democrat socialist thing, that doesn't matter to people anymore. It's what people are offering. And people are just tired of the high cost of living. They're tired of hearing, oh, well, the stock market is doing so great when they can barely afford to put food on their table.
Yeah, they can't invest in it. Right.
So that doesn't matter to them.
See you guys over.
So meanwhile, Monday's joke of the day is MAGA is make algae grow again. Thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you guys next on the Economic Monday show with David M. Walker. Thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with the World Edition News. We are going on a little over 6 years now, and we hope to be celebrating that this year. Take care, everyone. You got it?
I got it.
Okay.